In a recent interview, Matt Damon talks about the increasing financial risk that studios are facing today by making movies, right? And I believe this is a sign of the times of how fragmented the media environment is, how hard it is to reach an audience, and it's even harder to convince that audience to part with their money. Now, I can see two strategies off the top of my head that the studios will employ to mitigate this risk, right? Strategy number one is reduce the cost, right? It's very easy to increase your profit margin if you cut costs in half. Now, who will that favor, right? Will that favor the director who has let his problem solving skills go stale and dormant because all he's been doing is throwing money at the problem because he's indulged such an unlimited budget? Or will that favor the amateur creator who has been making films their whole career off a shoestring budget? Strategy number two, studios will look to cash in on trust, right? So, for example, I'm a big fan of Chris Nolan, right? And that I don't love all his films. Some of the films went right over my head, but I love his artistry and his approach to filmmaking. So you can guarantee that I will be one of the first in line to buy a cinema ticket to watch his latest film and to give him the benefit of the doubt. By the same logic, written and directed by Quentin Tarantino holds more weight than from the studio that brought you X, Y, and Z. Written and directed by Quentin Tarantino means it's coming from the same mind that brought you all those films that you potentially like. If you don't like Tarantino, then you can just stay away. But brought to you by the same studio, there's too much variation there. It's probably a different director. It's probably a different writer. There's more risk attached than this kind of quite known entity, this known taste. An example is in a parallel industry, in the book publishing industry, right? Cian Toomey is a social media entertainer, influencer, who started making videos and posting them online at least a decade ago. Not know, I don't know exactly the date, but at least a decade ago. And today he's garnered a following of 866,000 on Instagram alone, right? And just a few years ago, when I'd say he still had a huge following, um, he brought out a book. Now, I have no idea how the deal went down, but I imagine what happened was the publishers were looking for ideas, looking for a successful project, right? And they saw Cian Toomey and they saw the massive following that he had acquired, and they thought we can cash in on this community. We can profit from this trust between creator and audience members, right? Because if you like Cian Toomey on social media, you are more than likely going to enjoy his book, right? And so the publishers are trying to cash in on that trust, right? And I could see film studios doing the exact same thing. If you have a loyal following online, right, you have the undivided attention of a loyal audience, right? And studios may well be following what book publishers have been doing, and they may be looking to reach out to amateur filmmakers who have a million followers on YouTube, something like that, right? And so the problem for the studio offers an opportunity for the amateur filmmaker because the internet is the vehicle that can connect you to your audience, and if you can create a loyal following just based on your own creativity, then you can cash in, and this new industry and the way things are changing could work for you. I hope that helps. I hope that makes sense. Good luck.